Stoicism is one of those philosophies that's having a real moment right now. It's everywhere. And you might think this is new, but it's really been around for 2,000 years. If you don't know much about Stoicism, you probably just have this idea of some ancient Greeks running around in robes talking about stuff. But they were really onto something. And today we're going to talk about what Stoicism actually is, how it works, and most importantly, why it can change your life. Let's go. I love history, so let's start with a little historical hot tip. Ancient Greece was a pretty wild place to live. There was war and slavery and injustice and tyranny and all sorts of stuff. There was also Athens, which became this cultural center where great thinkers would come and debate philosophy and discuss politics and art and poetry. We associate ancient Greece with people like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. These guys were all in Athens. Now, after Alexander the Great died, his general Ptolemy took control of Egypt and founded a dynasty. The Ptolemies ruled Egypt for 300 years, until Rome came and conquered them. Now, because of where they were located, the Ptolemies had a bird's-eye view of Greek culture. They saw what was happening there and thought, hey, maybe we should do some of that. So they started their own philosophical school. They invited Zeno of Citium, a former merchant who'd lost everything in a shipwreck, to come teach at the royal court. In 334 BCE, Zeno gave his first public lecture in Athens. He told the story of how he'd lost his fortune and then found philosophy, how it led him to happiness and inner peace. And he said, if these things are possible for me, they're possible for you too. That's the origin of Stoicism. Now, if you want to get technical, Stoicism is actually a type of philosophy called hedonism, which is all about pleasure and pain. Hedonists believe that the ultimate good is pleasure and the ultimate evil is pain. The Stoics, however, reject the hedonist view that pleasure should be our primary goal. They say that we should seek virtuous activity, not pleasure. But they also think that pain is often unavoidable and therefore shouldn't be feared. The Stoics believe that nature is rational and we should live in harmony with it. They also believe that we could find happiness within ourselves, not in external things. So now you know the who, what, and where of Stoicism. Next up, let's get into the core principles. The first principle is that the chief task in life is to seek and find our proper good. This involves careful deliberation and choosing what's right over what's wrong. The Stoics had a hierarchy of values. The top was wisdom or understanding, then courage, then justice, and temperance. Your job is to pick the right thing to pursue, and that's wisdom. Next, the Stoics believe that we should focus on the things we can control and let go of the things we can't. Epictetus, one of the most famous Stoics, said that some things are in our control and others not. It's only when we make the effort to distinguish them that we stop worrying about the things we can't control and learn to handle the things we can. When you see a basketball game, it's a good metaphor. There are things the players can control, like how hard they practice, and things they can't control, like whether they win the championship. Stoicism is about focusing on the things we can control and letting go of the things we can't. This brings us to the third principle, which is to remember that everything is interconnected. We're all part of a larger whole, and our actions affect others. The Stoics believe that we should act for the common good and be responsible citizens. This means being involved in our communities and doing our part to make the world a better place. It is about accepting the things we can't change and acting on the things we can. And finally, the fourth principle is to be resilient in the face of adversity. The Stoics believed that obstacles and challenges are opportunities to grow and become stronger. They taught that we should accept whatever comes our way with equanimity and that we should never give up in the pursuit of excellence. So those are the four core principles of Stoicism. But what does it actually mean for us today? Why should we care about what these ancient Greeks had to say? Well, the Stoics believed that their philosophy could help people live better, more fulfilling lives. They thought that by following these principles, we could achieve happiness and inner peace no matter what external circumstances we find ourselves in. But don't just take my word for it. Let's look at some evidence. A study by the University of Texas at Austin found that Stoic practices, such as focusing on the present moment and accepting what we can't control, reduced negative emotions and increased positive emotions. Another study from the University of Michigan found that students who practiced gratitude and mindfulness, two key Stoic practices, reported feeling less stress and better overall well-being. So how exactly do we put this stuff into practice? Here are some concrete exercises that anyone can try. Exercise No. 1 is negative visualization. Now this sounds kind of weird, but it's actually pretty simple. You basically imagine yourself losing something you value, like your health, your job, or a loved one, and you think about how you would cope with that loss. The idea is not to make yourself miserable, but to prepare yourself for the possibility that things could go wrong. It helps you appreciate what you have while you have it and makes you more resilient in case things do go wrong. Exercise number 2 is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about noticing your thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them. To practice mindfulness, you can try meditation, yoga, or simply taking a few deep breaths and focusing on your surroundings. By becoming more mindful, you'll be better able to appreciate the present moment and detach from your negative thoughts and emotions. No. 3 is gratitude. Gratitude is simply being thankful for what you have. It's easy to focus on what we don't have and take for granted what we do. By practicing gratitude, we can shift our focus to the positive things in our lives. Every day, take a few moments to think about all the things you're grateful for. It can be anything from your health, to your friends, to the roof over your head. Exercise number 4 is self-reflection. Self-reflection is the practice of examining your own thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's about being aware of your strengths and weaknesses and striving to improve. Set aside some time each day to reflect on how you're doing. What are you doing well? What could you improve on? By reflecting on your progress, you'll be better able to set goals and make changes. And finally, exercise No. 5 is service to others. Service to others is one of the most important aspects of Stoicism. The Stoics believe that we should act for the common good and be responsible citizens. One way to practice service to others is through volunteering. Find a cause you care about and give your time and energy to it. You'll not only be helping others, but you'll also be gaining a sense of purpose and fulfillment. The Stoics believe that we should strive for excellence in all things. They taught that we should always try to be the best version of ourselves and never give up in the face of adversity. By practicing these exercises, you'll be on your way to living a more stoic life. So what are you waiting for? Get started today and see how Stoicism can change your life. Marcus Aurelius, the last emperor of Rome, was a Stoic. He wrote a personal journal of his thoughts and reflections, and it's one of the most powerful books ever written. In Meditations, Aurelius grapples with the big questions of life. It's just how to deal with suffering and how to find meaning in a chaotic world. His insights are timeless, and his wisdom continues to inspire people centuries later. If you want to learn more about Stoicism and how it can change your life, I highly recommend reading Meditations. It's a book that will stay with you long after you finish reading it. Thanks for watching.